Do I have a template to backtest models? Of course. BMB, of course, of course. Here you go, dropping the link here. I'm also going to drop the link for this data sheet here that we're all going to be looking at and talking about together. Yeah, no worries. So this is the model that we've all been testing. Are you recording? It's 1 a.m. I have to go to bed. Yeah, good night, Silk. Have a good one. Sleep tight. You shouldn't be looking at screens this close to bedtime. FYI, I used to be a sleep tech for 10 years prior to trading. Don't do it. Alright, cheers. Have a good one. Alright. So, for those of you that are new, I don't think anyone is, but just to recap on what we're doing, we have been backtesting Adrian's 5-minute Q3 to 4-hour expansion model. The model consists of marking out previous day high and low, marking out OTE and fixed volume range profile within that daily expansion, and then marking out your 1-hour PD arrays. We then wait for a 5-minute Q3 to form. Once that Q3 forms, it has created created a change in state delivery. It's leaving behind a manipulation zone. From this manipulation zone, we just simply wait for an expansion away from it. We mark out OTE as well as our 5-minute PD arrays. Once price returns to this manipulation zone and taps OTE coupled with the zone, we can then take an entry. We are aiming for at least 1.5 standard deviations deviated from the manipulation swing that was created. And then we are targeting all the half deviations after that. If price hits 1.5 standard deviations before we get an entry, that trade idea is invalidated. If once price goes to 1.5 standard deviations after our entry, then we are simply trailing our stops. So far, again, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. So far, we've back tested 111 reps. Our current win rate has dropped down to 62%, but we are still averaging 2.5 R. So today, first thing we're going to do is do a little bit of an audit. Sometimes I kind of just lose my bearings during the backtest sessions because there's just so much data to take in, plus questions and things like that. So we're just going to make sure that I track the losses and the wins correctly, first and foremost. Second, we're going to make sure that maybe like the R specifically, I got off track at some point. I think I did already correct this, but we'll go through it again. And then we will go through and kind of dissect all the data and start to see what kind of conclusions we can draw based on what we have. Alright, so I'm going to unlock the page here. Again, if you guys have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm going to kind of get lost in the data here. So first thing I do want to check for sure is just make sure that all of our stop losses coincide with a -1 R, and BE has a 0 R, and you know, like all the wins are marked correctly. Sorry. All right, so all this is good. All this seems consistent. I know when I was trying to scroll to the right on your page, it was impossible. This made it difficult to click the links to the trades. Any chance that can be changed? So it's because the table is so wide. What I would recommend doing instead is when you... Gosh, I probably can't even do it now. Okay. When you select it... Oh, it doesn't come up anymore. There was a way I knew how to do it once upon a time, but I can't anymore. But yeah, we only have this bar down here. But this bar, once upon a time when I knew how to do it, this bar would auto-populate like wherever you were on the screen at some point. I just don't know why it doesn't do it anymore. Oh, this is why. Stefan, you just open as a full page. When you open as a full page, it's only bringing up the data log, and then you can scroll easily. Yeah. Sometimes I just space, you know? Sometimes I just complete brain farts and I forget everything that I know. Too much information. Okay, so same data, guys. Nothing's new here. It's just opening that little table as its own page. So I'm just going to continue going through to make sure all the losses are -1 and all the BEs are 0. So again, the only scenario where we would be BE technically is when we trail our stops because a new 4-hour candle has formed. That's the only scenario. I can explain that further if anyone needs me to. But once we hit 1.5 standard deviations, we are now in profit because we've trailed to BE theoretically, or we've taken profit theoretically. But because 1.5 standard deviations is the first target, all those 1.5 standard deviation trades are considered wins. The only time we're BE again is if we trailed our stop to BE because a new 4-hour candle formed and 1.5 was not hit, therefore tagging BE before 1.5 was tagged. Otherwise, if 1.5 was never tagged and a new 4-hour candle never formed, we're hitting stop loss. I hope that makes sense to everyone. If you have been following the model, that should have been very, very clear. If you need further explanation, if this is your first time here, feel free to let me know. All right, so -1, 0. All right, so this pretty much all looks good. I do think I corrected this before I went on vacation. Just want to double check. Okay, yes. So all stop losses and BEs have the right R. Now this is the thing, is on the R I have it as an average, right? We can also do it as just like a sum. So the model over 2 months, because we started at January 1st, the model over 2 months has yielded 277 R. So I think that's pretty good for 2 months. But again, if we're just looking at win rate alone, 62% win rate at 3R on average, or 2.5 R on average. That is a phenomenal stat. That is an absolute phenomenal stat. Let me bring up let me bring up the screenshots for RR. If any of you guys have the RR, like just at a quick, you have it somewhere that you can post it really quick, please feel free to drop it in the chat for me. I never seem to have it on hand for some reason. You guys know what I'm talking about, the win rate and the RR chart. Is this a bot or your trades? This is not a bot. These are manual trades that we all back tested together. If you need to see those reps live for, you know, I don't know, your verification, you can look in my channel and you can watch all the YouTube videos. I actually have a playlist here. We literally hold on. We literally recorded every single rep live. There we go. Thank you, BNB. All right, so let's pop this guy open. Oops, that's the wrong one. That is completely the wrong one. Hold on a second. There we go. All right, so 60%, right? We're at a 62% win rate between 2 and 3 R. So we're wildly profitable, basically. Again, if I don't want to do the math in my head, but you're basically winning 3 out of 5 trades, right? In this example. So let's say you're risking $500 total, and you won 3 of those trades, so you would have made what, 600 total. I don't know if that math is correct or not, including your losses, right? So but yeah, you're good to go. My MNQ, wow, that's your R. 3.76 R. Is your win rate the same? Oh, but you're through June 13th. Kick ass, Stefan. You beat me. You must have been backtesting like crazy. Okay, I need to catch up. So guys, Stefan has been backtesting the same exact model on MNQ instead of NQ, right? And he's basically, every time I have a session, he's backtesting MNQ right alongside me. And you know, I've been on vacation for 2 weeks, so he just killed it while I was gone. Yeah, no, Stefan, I'm the same way. Single, no kids, so thank God. We have no lives, we can get this kind of data. But yeah, this is thank you so much for sharing. If you don't mind dropping your link, if you want to, no pressure, but if you want to drop your link and share with everyone, that'd be awesome too. Now with that being said, now that everything somewhat looks good, I'm just going to click through random charts to just make sure that I tracked it properly as well. So let's see here. This was a profitable trade. These end of day trades kind of always end up profitable because we're closing on market close. So yep, closed EOD, no 1.5 money. Okay, and then I'm gonna click on another one here, click on the loss. All right, so this I recorded as a loss. No, I recorded as BE. Okay. This is another EOD actually. Okay, hold on. Let me choose another one. NFP 0R. This is also BE. So see, this is an example of where we trailed our stop because a new 4-hour candle formed. So right here, once this 4-hour candle formed, we trailed our stops, and this is the only scenario where we would be BE. No worries. And I have some data at the end I haven't made it to yet. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And then I'll just click on another loss down here. Okay, great. So this is just a clear stop out running into London session low. Sorry, Asia session low. Okay. All right, so now we're going to look at the tables that we have already set, right? So for duration of our trades, our average trade is lasting, for 1.5 standard deviations, is lasting about 30 minutes. Obviously your range here is it can last from 4 minutes all the way up to 90 minutes. So about an hour and a half max for 1.5 standard deviations. I think that's pretty reasonable, right, to expect that. So, you know, if an hour and a half has passed and you still haven't hit 1.5, that's either a good sign that you may want to trail to break even, or just close the trade altogether, right? Because at 1.5 hour, do you really want to hold for longer than 90 minutes? Okay, hold on. Okay, hold on. I have 1.5 hour on all of them. 1 second. 0. Okay, so 30 minutes here. For everything over 90 minutes, let's check. I want to bring all of them up. Okay. Bear with me. Let me just get this all situated. Okay, so actually 2.5 standard deviation trades are also being hit in about an average of 30 minutes. But all the trades majority of the trades that are under 30 minutes, or under 90 minutes, but an average of 30 minutes, are 2.5 standard deviations and down. Everything that is over 90 minutes, so this is going to be 180, 3 hours. So anything up to 3 hours, 1.5 standard deviation is going to hit every time. 30% of your 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5 standard deviation trades are going to be held. Let me bring up the win-loss on this as well. Didn't notice it wasn't on. Stop loss, money, B. So unfortunately with the duration, it doesn't allow me to edit these 0 to 100, 100 to 200, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. This is all defaulted to Notion, so it doesn't allow me to change it, unfortunately. Let me bring stop loss over here. We probably don't need SBS. I'll close that in a bit. BE. Again, we're going with percent checked. Wow. That's gotta be a fluke. We'll check that in a second. No stop losses in 30 minutes. Or sorry, in under 90 minutes. No stop losses in under 90 minutes. That has me... That, I just can't... I can't even fathom that. Let's keep going. All wins, 100% win rate in under 90 minutes. This is a little weird. Let me see what's going on here. 100% wins in 2 hours. Or sorry, in 3 hours. Also no stop losses. Hold on, let me double check that I'm filtering this properly. Yes, this is all everything. Oh, wait. There we go. Whew. This is... this is a 1.5 check, so these are all wins, right? Oh my goodness. Okay, so these are all the wins anyway. These are no losses being shown here. So this is going to be removed. Let me clear this, and now we have our real data unchecked. Hold on a second. Save for everyone. Delete that filter. Okay. I was about to say something is amiss here. Okay, here we go. So in an hour and a half, and all the trades that occur under an hour and a half, our average trade, we're holding our trades average for 22 minutes. Now these are real stats. Okay, so we have a win rate of 45% with 1.5 standard deviations being hit the same amount. So basically all of our wins at 1.5 is equivalent to all of our wins here. We're BE 5% of the time. Ooh, so this is pretty much, we're experiencing more losses in under 90 minutes than wins. In over 90 minutes to 3 hours, we have an 8% stop loss. Okay. So if you're in the trade for more than 90 minutes, you're 80% likely to win it now. With a 10% BE, 60% of the time, or 59% of the time. Yeah, if the trade was under 90 minutes, you have a 50-50% chance to lose it, actually. So it's 50-50. You're more likely to lose it than to win it. But if you've been holding for more than 90 minutes, we're looking at an 80% win rate. Now, 200 to 300, 40% win rate. Yeah, 42% win rate. This time frame of 200 to 300, what is that, 3 hours to 5 hours? This is all unfavorable. 42% win rate, not terrible, but 42% win rate, 42% stop losses, right? So equal, you're just as likely to lose it than win it, and only 30% of those are hitting 1.5. So that's what the first target is really key, right? And then after that, look how drastically it drops. 10%, 10%, 10%. So this time frame of 3 hours to 5 hours, that's actually brutal, because imagine holding for 5 hours and not winning that. And then here we go up to 300 to 400 minutes. We are now at a 100% win rate. So just that the trade lasted more than 5 hours. We're at 100% win rate. Is your end time the time that it hits the highest target? Yes, it's the end time is when it hits the half deviation. So 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5 for all of the. But sorry. So for example, oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're asking. Ooh, that actually brings up a really good point, Stefan, because then we don't look at deviations altogether in this case. The deviations don't matter if we're always looking at the 4.5 deviation, right? Well, no, because sometimes they're checked and sometimes they're not. Okay, so our data will be slightly skewed for the 1.5 deviation trades, but they will be, because whenever we tag 4.5, 1.5 will also be tagged, right? So this will, for all these win rates or for all these durations, this is theoretically to hit your highest deviation. But you know, with that being said, 100% of the trades that are lasting from the 5 hours, so what is that, 6 hour range, 5 to 6 hour range, this is 100% win rate. So that would be closing one 4 hour candle and opening another, and then everything, and then you have a drastic loss after that. So think about it like this: you would see one full 4 hour candle expansion. You would more than likely see like the first 50-10 macro of the next 4 hour candle, and then once that last macro or initial macro has passed and your next candle has basically confirmed its open high or open low, then at that point, that is your most beneficial time to close the trade, basically. So we're catching 4 hour candle expansions, right? In your first 30 minutes of that 4 hour candle expansion, you're more than likely to form your open high or open low. After that point, your best bet is probably to close if it's already expanded into your target, or not expanded into your target and created a CSD. So the range from 5 to 6 hours, this is the 100% win rate, and this is honestly kind of cool to see, because the idea is for us to catch the entire 4 hour candle expansion. All right, so now let's go to quarters for the entry. I already have the win rate on there. So Q1 65% win rate, Q2 68% win rate, Q3 64% win rate, and Q4 50% win rate. So with the exception of Q4, all of them are kind of, you're good to enter Q1, Q2, Q3, with Q2 being the highest win rate. So if you have a Q3 manipulation and you get the entry in the zone plus OTE during Q2, and more than likely a macro, we have a macro chart that we can get into later. We'll combine that data once we get there. But if you are entering during Q2, you have a 68% chance to win that trade. And let me just double check that I don't have any additional filters. SBS, I think we can skip. I think I'm going to just delete this altogether since we removed SBS from the entry criteria. But I'm going to just take a glance at it to see if anything sticks out at me. 55. When we first looked at this, yeah, it's still pretty high. SBS 5 had a 100% win rate. It's now come down to 88%, which is also still pretty high. But if you can identify the rest of SBS, by the time you get to SBS 5, pretty high win rate, and you can kind of just wait for that setup. And then in all the trades where no SBS occurred at all, was only about 19 out of 111. So that's actually pretty great. So most of the time, SBS is forming for most of these trades. This is no longer entry criteria. It's just something that we're testing, and we can dissect the data if we wanted to. I just want to take a look at this again. Let me look at the average on here. Okay, so even SBS 5 is only getting an average of 1.5 R. Alright, PD arrays. No, I'll skip that. OTE. Okay, hold on. There we go. 50% retracement level, 63% win rate. 0.618 retracement level, 65% win rate. 0.705 retracement level, 60% win rate, and 0.79% retracement level, also 60% win rate. So 70 and 79, basically 60, round up and down. OTE 0.618, which is your golden pocket retracement level across all disciplines of trading, 65% win rate, the highest one. And then 0.5% retracement level, also around 60, but 63. So 0.618 is the golden pocket for a reason. It is the highest win rate so far. Let me see if we have an average duration coupled with that. 160, 156, 160, 120. Okay, so all the trades are roughly lasting 2.5 hours. No, my math sucks. Well, yeah, 2.5 hours, roughly. Mine is whenever the runner would be stopped. Ah, okay, yeah. I didn't track runners necessarily because the idea with the profits is that we would have a different account for each profit. But this is the data that I really wanted to see, right, for the OTE, because instead of tracking, we're not only tracking the different exits, but we're also tracking the different entries, right? So for me, I actually wanted to see 0.79 win. I wanted to see it pull out ahead, to be honest, and it actually fell short technically across everyone. So 0.59% win rate. Of course, the R is probably massive compared to everyone else. Let's look at the R on all these trades. Oh shoot, it's right here in front of my face. We'll do the sum first. 66 R, 49, 66, 80. 80, 81. Okay, so it did pull out ahead technically. All right, so see, this is exactly what I wanted to see on the entries, right? Because this is the thing with this is kind of the ambiguity with the model and how Adrian trades it versus how we've been back testing it, or not the ambiguity, but the difference, right? So Adrian trades this model live for you guys. He places his charts. He tells you the entries before they're going to occur, and the way we back tested it was just making it a little bit more mechanical so that there was no ambiguity on when we were going to take the entry, just making it a little bit more strict, right? And so with that being said, he takes the trade as soon as the zone is tapped. Because I am who I am, I could just not get down with that, and I opted to apply OTE to the zone instead. So with OTE, or like when you apply OTE, sometimes 50% is going to be inside the zone, sometimes it's going to be below the zone. So in the cases where it's below or outside of the zone, let's say, outside of the zone, you can take the trade as soon as the zone is tapped. Let me bring this up visually for you guys so that we're all on the same page here. Alright, so don't have a blank chart. So let's say we have a zone form living its best life, and it taps the zone here, and then it displaces, right? So our zone is this manipulation leg. Let's pretend it happened during Q3, and we have our OTE here. I'm so sorry, guys. I have to pause right here. I need to take this phone call. 1 second.